Alright, and let's see if I get all this right. Cross country, basketball, golf, tennis, track, baseball. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, right, yeah. State champion, all-stater, all kinds of accolades you want to throw on top of that. Just on the athletic side, and he was a great student to boot as well, okay? And so I'm going to give him a chance to go deeper into that kind of the journey past Vanguard and what he's here talking about. So, Mr. Bolton, take it away.
Hey guys. My name's Jeff Bolte. I'm a senior at SMU, and I'm taking some med school prereqs right now. And I'm here to talk to you guys about how to read a nutrition facts label. This is something that I've learned over the last few years. I've gotten a couple of certifications in the health and wellness industry. I got certified as a personal trainer and a health coach. And I found that this is one of the most helpful things that people tend to come to me asking for is, how do you know what to eat? So, this is my company. It's Wellness in Action, and that's who I am. So, moving forward, this talk is going to be about teaching you guys a general framework for how to look at one of these. That's a bad example. How to look at one of these and know what these words mean, because these words are very confusing. You've probably heard words like carb, calorie, fat, protein. What the heck does any of that mean, and why do you care about it? Like, that's something that I was always I thought a carb and a calorie were the same thing until about 3 years ago. So I'm here to talk to you guys about what that means and what the implications are for you. So we're going to be talking about, firstly, defining what calories are. Then we're going to talk about nutritional content, serving size, daily value, and the actual government recommendations for what you should be eating on a daily basis. So, what is a nutrition facts label to start off with? So, in general, a nutrition facts label tells you 4 things. It tells you the list of ingredients, what's in the food. So the reason there is a list of ingredients in the first place is someone made this. Now, if I was holding an apple in front of you, nobody made that apple. God made it. It just appeared, right? So there's no questions about whether or not that apple is nutritious. So exactly, apples are great. So this nutrition facts label, once again, does 4 things. It tells you what's in it, the list of ingredients. It tells you what the makeup of those ingredients are, the nutritional content. It tells you how much of it you should be eating and how much of the calories there are. And then it tells you, relative to what you should be eating, what percentage of calories and nutritional content is in this food. Okay? So, where are those things located? So, we're going to skip the history. And we are going to come to this. Alright? So, right up here, if you were staring at a nutrition facts label, we would have the calories, serving size, the percent daily value, and then the nutritional content down here. But what do those mean? Okay? So let's back up and define some terms. Alright? Calorie. It's a measure of the amount of energy in food. More energy, more fuel. So what is 1 calorie? Does anyone know what 1 calorie means? I'd take a guess. 1.
1 calorie is not much energy.
That's correct. That's a roundabout way of doing it. So if I was going to take this water and I was going to take 1 gram of it, it's not very much. You could weigh that out right now. If I was going to take 1 gram, I think this is in ounces. It's about 1. Okay, so that's about. This is actually a little bit more than a gram. But if I was to heat this out, this is like room temperature, maybe a little less than room temperature. If I was going to light a fire and heat that up, fire hazards are fun, right? If I was going to light a fire and heat that up 1 degree Celsius, that would be the amount of energy that's in a calorie, is that heat, okay? And that more than that is circulating through your body, every single one of you guys in every single cell right now. And it's essential for life. So, I'm going to drink this now. And now, so that's a calorie. So a nutrient is nothing more than an aspect of food that your body can use. So if I was going to try and eat this table, there's not much nutritional content, okay? Because I can't use, I can't use anything in this table to make something in my body. But if I was going to eat this sugar, I could use some of it. I wouldn't recommend it, but I can use stuff in this sugar, okay? Does that make sense? So, there are two types of nutrients, macronutrients and micronutrients, okay? What's the difference? Yes. That's what those words, yes and no. Yes. Yeah. Keep going. And micronutrients? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. Okay. So, a macronutrient is a nutrient, so something that your body can use that provides your body with calories. Okay. And a micronutrient is something that your body can use that is essential for other processes outside of creating energy. Okay? So salt is a micronutrient because I can eat as much of this as I want. I could pour molten salt down my mouth and I would get zero energy from this. But if I poured sugar, I would get energy. And we'll talk about why there's a difference later on in the talk. Okay, so what's a serving size? Anybody? We got another one. Let's go.
The amount of a food product that is recommended.
Close. So this is actually a very iffy. Yes, go for it. Yes, that's what it has been redefined as. So in the past, a serving size was an arbitrary amount of a food that the person that made this food decided you should eat. So what that means is that they get to choose how much of the calories, macronutrients, and micronutrients they can put on their nutrition label. For instance, Red Bull, it used to be one little 12-ounce canister was 2 servings. When have you ever just drank half a Red Bull and been like, I'm going to save this for later? Like that's not what happens. So what that allowed them to do is lower the calorie content on the nutrition label because they were only talking about half. But recently, the government redefined serving size as the amount of food customarily consumed. So how many Oreos do you think you would customarily eat? I heard 15. I see 7. All right, we're going with 7. Cool. All right, we're going with 7. So 7 Oreos, okay? So is that because you ate it or because the government defined it as that? Well, they have recently defined it as that is the amount of food that is customarily consumed, is 7 Oreos. So whenever you are reading the Oreos nutrition facts label, the serving size should roughly correspond to how much you should eat in one go, okay? Moving forward to the percent daily value. The percent daily value is how much of the macro and micronutrients that are in this food that you will get relative to what you should get on the whole throughout a day. Okay? So, last definition is the resting metabolic rate. What is that? Does anybody have a guess?
The amount of calories burned in one day at rest.
Okay. What does that mean though?
It means if you're just asleep, it's the amount of calories.
Exactly. The sleeping part is important. If I was to just sit here for 24 hours, if I was to just sit there for 24 hours and I burned X amount of calories, let's say I burned 2,000 calories. I was resting and I created 2,000 calories worth of energy. So 2,000 calories is the amount of heat required to heat up 2,000 grams of water by 1 degree Celsius each. Okay. So, total. So you produce a lot of heat. Okay, so now we know what calories are, and we know what nutrients are. Okay? Alright. Here's a little trivia. What is that? What food is that? Alright, we're gonna raise hands. We're gonna raise hands if you have a guess. Alright, let me read a couple of these if you can't read them. Water sufficient for processing. Chicken. Meat byproducts. Wheat flour. Oh, you got it. No one's ever got that before. Yeah. This is dog food, okay? Okay? Go home and feed your dog something real tonight. Okay, so how do you incorporate your knowledge of calories into your daily life? So the FDA recommends that you eat a 2,000 to 2,500 calorie diet per day, okay? For reference, this Gatorade, you guys all probably have drank Gatorade, has 80 calories per serving, but there's 2.5 servings per container. So that means there's 200 calories. That means there's 200 calories, units of energy in this, okay? So if you drank 10 of these, that would be your daily energy expenditure, okay?
Hey guys,
we can get to the fire sooner if you guys are quiet. All right. So there's 200 calories in this Gatorade, which means you get about 1/10 of your energy for the day if you drink this whole thing. Okay? So if you are trying to either gain or lose weight, here's what is happening, is that resting metabolic rate is the amount that you would consume in energy at rest, okay? And furthermore, you're walking around, you're burning calories every time you make a motion, okay? So you need to refuel in that day. And if you wanted to stay the exact same weight, you would want to eat the amount of calories that you have burned over the course of the day, which is equal to your resting metabolic rate plus the amount that you burn while you're moving around, or you're dancing, you're playing basketball, whatever you're doing, okay? And you should incorporate that into your thoughts whenever you're deciding what you want to eat, okay? So, now let's move on and let's talk about how to use the daily value and the serving size on a nutrition facts label. So going back to this Gatorade, you did the math earlier. There's 2.5 servings in this Gatorade, okay? I would argue that that's not the amount customarily consumed, but Gatorade is a very powerful company and they can kind of do what they want. So they have decided that you can drink 2.5 servings of Gatorade, and that's what's in this. But in reality, you're probably going to drink it all, right? So how many calories are actually in this? So what you do is you come to this nutrition facts label, and you find the serving size, okay? Serving size is 1 cup. How many servings are per container? There's 2, okay? This is mac and cheese. This is not Gatorade, but we're going to use this as a reference. So that means for every serving, which is 1 cup of mac and cheese, there's 250 calories. So if you ate the whole box of mac and cheese, you're not eating 250 calories. You're eating 500 calories. And how many calories do we know that the FDA uses as a reference for your daily value? 2,000. So if you ate 4 boxes of mac and cheese, cut it. You guys are small, so it's probably likely lower than that. But you're also growing, so I don't really know how that works. But anyway, looking in at the daily value, okay? Daily value is based on a percentage of the 2,000 or 2,500 calorie diet that the FDA recommends. All right. So now we know how to find proportions, okay? So now let's move forward. Does anyone know what a carbohydrate is? You've answered a couple, so we're gonna go here. Yes. You'll answer more. Yes. The sugars, yes. That's exactly what a carbohydrate is. So, this is sugar. This is sugar. This is also sugar. That's a sugar, okay? That's called glucose. It's in your blood right now. It's in your body, it's in every cell. These are atoms. You guys know what atoms are yet? Yes, cool. This is a certain arrangement of atoms that manifests itself in real life looking like sugar cubes, okay? No. All right, guys.
Everybody go, guys.
One sugar cube. Imagine that this is this, okay? Okay? Imagine. If you took a bunch of these sugars and you strung them together, you would get a complex carbohydrate, okay? Now, in your body, here's a complex carbohydrate, which looks like this. See that? It's the same thing, just strung together. Okay? If you just take all of these and you string them together, it's a complex carbohydrate. Now, if you're a little, do you guys know what an enzyme is? No, okay. An enzyme is like Pac-Man, okay? It's exactly like Pac-Man. He runs over these little sugars and he just chomps them, okay? And whenever he chomps them, they kind of explode and release energy, okay? So if you're Pac-Man, what's easier to eat? This or that? Yeah, right? Okay? So Pac-Man can just freaking fly through these sugars, no problem, and release energy, right? But if you eat food that's high in these, Pac-Man eats slower. Your body eats slower. Those enzymes digest the food slower, which means that your body doesn't have to store energy as much because it has to work harder to break down that energy. Okay? So what happens is your body takes this complex carbohydrate and it breaks off a single piece. I'll pick that up. No. It breaks off a piece and then it crushes it. It just crushes it. I couldn't, it's hard to crush. And then it releases energy, okay? You should aim to eat more complex carbohydrates because it's harder for your body to break them down, which means that energy is less available, which means that you store less energy, which is a fact. It's a body fact. Okay, so now we know what a carbohydrate is. Who knows what these are? Legos! All right. All right. So this is a protein, okay? Where is protein in your body? Muscles, right? Okay. So say that you break down. Okay, I just tore my muscles, okay? I need to repair them. This is a phone book. This is a proxy for DNA, okay? This is basically what DNA is it's a phone book for Legos. It's a phone book for proteins. So I just tore my muscles, and what my DNA is going to do is it's going to open up. We're going to find the right page to reference the right string of proteins, and we're going to come right here. We're looking at fitness center proteins right now. So, all right, so we need a circuit 31 fitness protein. That looks like this. Okay, it's a very small protein. Now we need 3 LA fitness proteins. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So in order to repair those proteins that I just tore in my muscles, my body looks up which proteins I need, strings them together, and then sends them to my muscles. Okay? At which point, I am now repaired and my muscle grew. So that is happening in every single one of you right now. In fact, if I was to take, so DNA is made up of literal letters. A, C, G, and T. And if you were to string those letters together in a phone book, and you were to slap it on the ground, and then stack 200 of them up to the ceiling, that's how much DNA is in each cell in your body, okay? Okay, so there's a lot of codes for proteins. You can look up a lot of proteins, all right? So where do you get protein? Meat. Where else? Beans, legumes. You can get them from vegetables. And dividend. So now we know what a protein is. So now there's one other type of macronutrient that you can get energy from. Does anyone want to raise their hand? Yes. We just went over carbs. It's okay. Anybody? Yes, we just went over protein. Yes. Calcium is a micronutrient, but close. Sugar is a carb. Fat! There it is. That's a fact. So this is called a saturated fat. Okay? So a fat works very much so like a candle. Okay? So you have candles that are broken in your body. Okay? And you have candles that are straight in your body. And these candles make up a large portion of your body. Like you have fat under your skin. That's what I just grabbed. It's fat under your skin. You have fat in every cell in your body surrounding the cell. You have fat around your organs. It's crucial. It stores energy. It insulates you. It keeps you warm. It keeps you from injury. And it's crucial. And you can eat it, and what it allows you to do is burn it for energy. Okay? So this particular kind of fat is called a saturated fat. Okay? So the reason that it's saturated is all of these C atoms, these carbon atoms, they like to have 2 hydrogens attached to them. They like to have 2 little things coming off of them. And in this saturated fat, every single one is saturated with hydrogens, okay? So what that ends up looking like is a candle, all right? And whenever your body needs energy, you just start breaking that, and then breaking that. And every time you break one, it really doesn't want to go. So now there's that wax. This wax is like the energy that gets released whenever you start breaking those fats. Okay? Okay. Alright guys, protein. These are the sources of energy in your food. They're the macronutrients. They're what you can break down to heat up water that's in your body, right? So now we have these subgroups: saturated fat, trans fat, dietary fiber, and sugars. Okay? So there are 3 types of carbs. There are sugars, which are those simple ones. There are starches, which are fairly long aggregations of those simple ones. And then there are fibers, which are all over the place. They are hard to digest and basically don't get used for energy by your body. They get used by little bacteria. In general, the rule of thumb for foods is that the less sugar, the better. The more fiber, the better. And then if you see total carbs and it's high, but there's low sugar, don't worry about it so much. Don't worry about it so much. What you want to aim for is the low sugar. That's the most important aspect. Because those starches, those long lines, yes, they're carbs, but they take a long time to break down. So you don't get that immediate, you're on the ceiling and then you're on the floor in 30 minutes, right? You don't get that burst of energy and then you don't store as much fat. So, looking at the fats, we have these subgroups. We have saturated fat and then trans fat. If you're eating something that has trans fat in it, stop eating it. Cool. It's now legal to put trans fat in foods. Don't do that. Don't eat. Yes, it's literally legal. Because they give you, it ages your cells prematurely and all sorts of other stuff. Yes? Yes. Okay. Hey, guys.
Hey, y'all listen. There's a question down there.
This may be a dumb question. Yes. But like, when it comes to fat, does that also refer to like information fat? Like,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the fat, no, that's not a dumb question at all. So the fat that's stored in your body is the same type of fat that's stored in a cow's body. So if you're eating a steak, you're eating fat just like it's stored in your body, okay? There's also fat in nuts. There's fat in oils. So there are 2 types of fats. There's saturated fat and unsaturated fat, and then there's also trans fat. Trans fat is artificial. We made it in a lab. It doesn't occur naturally. Saturated fat and unsaturated fat are the other 2 types of fats that occur naturally. One of them is liquid at room temperature. It's liquid at room temperature because, because it is bent. Okay, so do you remember that slide a while ago that had the straight line of carbons? Okay, when you have a large amount of straight fatty acids, you can pack them real tightly together. Okay, so what that allows them to do is be solid at room temperature. Okay, you guys have seen olive oil? That's fat, but it's liquid at room temperature. It's because it's bent and you can't pack them closely together. Okay, so in general, I think you had a question. Is vegetable oil the same? Yes, there are different types of vegetable oils that have different fat concentrations. So some have higher unsaturated fat, some have higher saturated fat, and you can figure that out by looking at the nutrition. So in general, maximize unsaturated fats because what that allows your body to do is be more fluid. Okay? So I don't know if you've noticed, but you guys are young and you're very fluid. You have a fluid body. As you age, your body becomes less fluid. It's easier to injure yourself and snap things. It's because your body is less fluid. Okay? One way to maximize the fluidity of your body is to eat unsaturated fat as opposed to saturated fat. This is an area of skepticism right now in the industry, but generally don't be the test bunny. Okay? Just do what we know is healthy, which is eat unsaturated fat. Okay? So, moving forwards. Okay. Okay, so we're going to raise our hands. This is our last demonstration. We're going to raise our hands whenever we think, okay, here's what we're going to do is we're going to do a little poll. Here's a Coke. Someone said sugar water over here. Yep, that's sugar water. Okay, here's a Gatorade. Elite Nutrition.
Sugar water also.
Here's a V8.
That's pretty good. That's good.
Okay? Alright. Who thinks? Okay, so I'm going to put my hand I'm going to put my hand over these, and you're going to raise your hand if you think that it has the most sugar in the whole bottle, okay? So here's some healthy V8, could have had a V8, V Fusion, Peach Mango, no sugar added. No sugar added. All right. Raise your hand if you think this one has the most sugar. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that's about 20. Okay, now Coke. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Coke totally has the most sugar. All right, so 24 grams of sugars, but 0 added sugars. There's no difference between the two of them. There are 6 servings in this container. Can some whiz kid do the math on that? Anybody? It's 144 grams of sugar. That's 600 calories. If you drank this whole thing, you have eaten about 40% of your daily intake just from drinking this, okay? But it's healthy. It's not healthy, okay? Gatorade. Here is an elite sports drink, okay? So this elite sports drink does not have enough salt, it does not have enough potassium, and it also has 22 grams of sugar times 2.5 servings, so it has about 60 grams of sugar, okay? There's half as much sugar in this as there is in this, okay?
Yeah, well, the Gatorade is smaller than the V8.
Correct. But people don't think about that, they just drink. So that's the problem. That's the problem, is that it's easy to get carried away by thinking, okay, well, it's just a V8. I can just drink all of it. If you turn it over and you're conscientious and you read the nutrition label, you'll know that this is actually probably worse for you than this Coke, which has 65 grams of sugar. All right, so what does 65 grams of sugar even look like, though? Okay, how much is that? Do you think, how many of these, how many of these do you think is in 60 grams? We have 6? 6 and a half. Right, but how many sugar cubes? How many sugar cubes? Do you think we take 64 sugar cubes? Do you think that this entire thing is 65 grams?
23.
10?
30.
23. 65 grams of sugar times 4. So that's 240 calories. So unfortunately, the FDA does not give us a daily percentage for sugar because the sugar industry is very powerful. So they don't want to tell you to not eat sugar. So I can't legally say anything about that.
That's also why it's harmful.
Yeah.
Wait, so do you actually know how much sugar it is? How can you
So
Can y'all listen?
And it says sugars, 5 grams.
Yeah, but do you know how to figure out the total percentage?
So in general, the FDA recommends less than 10% of your calories per day of sugar, which would be about 200 calories, okay? 200 calories, but they don't put that on the nutrition label because the sugar industry blocked the FDA. Less than 10% of your calories is their under the table guideline. 65 grams of sugar times 4 is 260. So if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, that's actually more than 10% of your calories. So if you drink this one Coke, you should eat negative sugar for the rest of the day.
Negative sugar.
Okay, so let's look at what 65 grams of sugar looks like.
Is there actually such thing as like good sugar and bad sugar?
If you can eat sugar in a fruit where it is accompanied by complex carbohydrates, it is less disadvisable. You're never going to eat yourself into diabetes with fruit because it has that complex carbohydrates benefit where it slows down the breakdown and release of the energy. Okay? All right. So now let's do our demonstration. That totally works. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So this is a zeroed out scale. We're going to measure out 65. 1 second. Questions at the end. 1 second. All right. 65 grams of sugar, which is a little over 2 ounces. Okay, 1. All right. 7. All right, you think we're done? No. They literally put this in a cup and then they put water in it. Whoa. Okay? If you drink a Coke, you might as well just put 20 sugar cubes in a cup and stir it up. Okay? These are identical nutritionally. Okay? But in a fruit, there's complex carbohydrates. In a vegetable, there's complex carbohydrates. You can eat carbohydrates and not have it be a detriment to your health. Just eat it in forms that are healthy, which include things that have lots of fiber, lots of starches, and minimal saturated fats. Okay, so question and answers. Let's go. Yes? Is the sugar box? A lot of grams. So, servings per container, 144. The serving size is 1 cube, so there's 144 cubes. 3 grams times 144, that's like 450 calories-ish. I think, if I did that right. 600, yeah. No, excuse me, 1,800. 3 times 144.
Hey, y'all listen.
So this would be 1,800 calories. If you ate one of these a day, that would be, that would be dumb. Don't do that. Yes?
What makes dark chocolate better than milk chocolate?
What makes dark chocolate better than, it's less sugary. It's typically less sugary. And also, it's less, in general, the further you are from something that grew on its own, the less healthy you're going to be, right? So dark chocolate tastes closer to actual cacao than milk chocolate. And that's because they had to doctor the milk chocolates to taste like that. So if you walked into a cornfield and you ate corn, that's a whole lot better than walking into... that's really funny. Monsanto. So if you walk into a cornfield and eat corn, that's a whole lot healthier than drinking high fructose corn syrup because it's been more doctored. So in general, the less it's been changed, the healthier it is. Yes? So that is what it is. That high fructose corn syrup is sugar. Yeah. So fructose is a type of sugar. There's a bunch of types of sugar. Yes?
Why do people think that like eating carbs and stuff is bad for you? You just said it's pretty good for you.
So it depends on the type of carb. And also people, so bread is carbs. So bread, depending on the type of bread, if you eat whole wheat bread, it has a lot of fiber. But if you eat white Mrs. Baird's that crunches up into a little ball, that's very processed. It's far away from the actual grain that grew in the first place, okay? It's been doctored up. They put it in a blender, then they put water in it, then they put it in another blender, then they put more water in it, then they put it in another blender, and then they bake a loaf of bread. So there's not much left from the grain that it was originally made from. So it depends on the type, which is why being able to read this nutrition label is very crucial.
So like if there's like 31 grams of carbohydrates, like most of the calories are carbohydrates.
Yes.
It's bad for you.
No. If most of the calories are from sugar, it's bad for you. But because they're wrong. Yes.
What about cottonseed oil?
Cottonseed oil. I'm not super familiar with cottonseed oil. It would depend if it's polyunsaturated or unsaturated. So why do people go on keto if what? So some people respond differently and respond well the general idea behind going on keto is that if you're not burning carbohydrates, you're going to be burning fats, and also it typically results in eating less calories because you get more full faster with eating a lot of protein. Yes. Yes. It's harder. It's harder. So it's also it also tastes better. There's a lot of sugar. If you literally just walk out into a field and ate a piece of grain, like it's not gonna taste good. But if so sometimes you have to kind of doctor up food, right? And to make something as sugary as possible so that people that aren't paying attention to the nutrition labels are just like, wow, this tastes amazing. You have to break it down from its original state. And the happy medium is getting something that tastes good that is also not that far from its original state. Yes? In case I got asked about supplement facts. About supplement facts, which is a whole nother topic. Yes. Great. Go ahead. Or yes.
Does dry fruit have any differences from
Just dry food?
dry fruit?
Dry fruit. Yes. Oh, this is this is actually big. Dry fruit is basically candy because it's been removed from the complex carbohydrates that had it keep its structure. So if you eat dried fruit, you're not getting those complex carbohydrates that are hard to break down. Because it's been dried, its structure has been broken down. Okay? Furthermore, prepared meals that are like frozen are super high in things like salt, and that's the only reason that they taste good. Is because they just load them up with salt. So try and minimize that. Yes. Eating a Kit Kat regularly is your decision. I would not do it. Yes. Guys. Okay, guys, 1 second. Yes. So margarine actually has a lot of trans fat in it, if I remember correctly. So I would avoid. Don't quote me on that. But I would just look at the nutrition label and minimize trans fat and saturated fat. So it depends on the nutrition label. So it depends what you're buying. As far as Diet Coke is more effective at having less calories because there are 0 calories, but it's also still very acidic and hard on your stomach. So there's a lot of factors. In general, I would take Diet Coke over regular Coke any day of the week, but still not super advisable. So there are always alternatives, but you have to kind of just be aware and conscious of what goes into that. Yes? There's an argument to be made that
All right, let's tell Mr. Bolton thank you very much. Here, you guys moving that way. Stop moving now. All right? If you have any questions for everyone, come on down and talk to them. If not, you can get a picture with the group. Yeah. All right. Have a seat. Have a seat right there. You can just kind of go right there. You're in a group photo.
sorry. I meant to bring oranges for you guys. Yeah, I meant to bring oranges for you guys, but I forgot. What's this was where all this stuff was. I got all that stuff. Our name is we got a call. We got his outside score back. Pretty good. Then we got a call that his car's trouble. So he's driving to Italy, Texas to pick up his car.
Wow, we got all that filled out.
And then I broke my phone. Okay, this actually really funny story. So we were outside drinking coffee, talking to my mom back porch, and I'm like, something, it's like no shirt, no shoes on, like we're just eating. And obviously I'm not in the front door, so I go to open up the door, and the door's locked. My phone drops, breaks. The door's locked somehow, so we're locked outside, and I'm like naked, and I like walk around and I talk to the carpet cleaners. I'm like, hello, sir. I don't know what to tell you. The door's locked. So then we had to break into my house, and then find my stuff. So yeah. So
Walker,
right?
until we get all this broken down, we're gonna shoot the other one. I don't want a ball coming over here.
Okay. If I could get a ride to like a region, I can like from here
What's that?
Yes, exactly. Sounds great.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you for some reason.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah. Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, he went. I mean, I didn't talk. But like, oh, yeah. Right, no, yeah, no, absolutely. We got it, yeah. And, well, me too. Oh, Where's his dog? Oh, okay. Well, hey, I appreciate that. We're on.